The campaign against the West Coast's wily Poitín Makers is waged with renewed vigour each autumn. It's a battle of wits fought out between the Gardaí and the elusive moonshiners in the remotest corners of Connemara, on uninhabited islands and on deserted beaches. In the weeks before Christmas, thousands of pounds worth of Poitín and Poitín-making equipment is confiscated and destroyed. Up to now, however, the penalties imposed by the courts on those found practising the ancient art or consuming the fiery homebrew haven't really deterred the Poitín makers.
It's still been made and has been made for generations. It's difficult to stamp it out, but we hope that we will be more successful.
How seriously do the Gardaí view Poitín making?
Well, we take a very serious view of the matter because it is a lot of this stuff is dangerous to drink, and it affects people to become addicted, and another thing, it has an effect on revenue as well. So we take a very serious view of it.
Today at Derryneagh Court in the heart of the Connemara Gaeltacht, the new tougher anti-Poitín laws were invoked for the first time. And District Justice John Garavin, who heard two cases, warned that from now on offenders would be prosecuted with the full rigour of the law. In the first of the two cases, a man who was found to have 8 gallons of Poitín hidden in his garden was fined £1,000. He was described as an extensive dealer in Poitín for the past 10 years. In the second case, a man who had just 1 bottle of Poitín was fined £500. For those who have been campaigning against Poitín and warning of its lethal consequences, the latest Get Tough policy is a very welcome development.
No more late than 2 or 3 days, I have 1 case of suspected death as a result of drinking Poitín. I haven't got a result of post-mortem yet, but it looks like as if it was definitely a contributing factor. We have from this area, I suppose, probably one of the highest admission rates to psychiatric hospitals, which would be, I suppose, a direct link with the drinking of Poitín. So you have seen Poitín break up homes, you have seen people get into very serious financial difficulties, you've even seen people die from Poitín. I have indeed. I have indeed. As I say, I did have figures at one time, but I've sort of give up on keeping count on them. But as I say, how many people a year do you think would die from Poitín consumption in Connemara? Offhand, I wouldn't be able to give you a figure. But I remember about 4 or 5 years ago, I had a list kept, which would be over a 10-year period. And in that 10 years, I could safely say that there were from 12 to 14 people who died as a result of drinking Poitín. You would see Poitín as a lethal brew which should be suppressed at all costs. You wouldn't in any way subscribe to this romantic notion of the moonshiner and the Poitín maker? Definitely not, no. I would love to see it disappear completely as a result of what I have seen. And I'm sure there are other doctors working in this area who have seen some as well. I'm sure they'd be delighted to see it go as well. The Gardaí believe there are about 50 people involved in Poitín making and distribution in the Connemara area, and they're confident that the new laws and stiffer fines will go a long way towards convincing the moonshiners that the time has finally come to call it a day.
Well, it should have a big effect, because I can imagine any person would be very slow to purchase a bottle of Poitín and face a £1,000 fine. So. And if somebody is foolish enough, really, to buy just 1 bottle of Poitín for the Christmas or for whenever, and he is found in possession of that, he now faces a fine of a minimum of £500 or even as much as £1,000. He faces a fine of £1,000, which can be mitigated by the justice to £500. So minimum of £500. But his bottle of Poitín could cost him £500. It could cost him £500. To what extent are you going to step up the campaign coming on towards Christmas? It's traditionally the time when the Poitín makers are at their busiest. There will be a step up, but I couldn't give particulars of it. It's one of those things we have to keep secret.